of today's class. First of all, let me do a little survey. Since we all became a senior, the third grader of this high school, we began to start writing English essays. If you had a hard time writing English essays, if you struggle a lot, just raise your hand, be brave. Okay, I can see some of you, seems like students here, they do not have difficulty. And Yiting, would you like to tell me what is your difficulty when you write English essays? What is your problem?
I don't know how to write the last paragraph.
Okay, you do not know how to write the last paragraph. So perhaps not only Yiting, but also other students, you do not know how to conclude, how to make a conclusion to your paragraph. And for that question, probably because you're not familiar with the structure of English essays. Let me put it this way. In Chinese, in a proper Chinese essay, we have 起, 承, 转, 和, right. Right? Yes. However, in English, it is totally different. Why? Because in English, in high school, usually we will encounter 4 different kinds of essay. The first one is narration. Narration is the type of essay. I think you're most familiar with that one, like what you did in your 模拟考. You have a 4-picture story. You need to describe the story. That is narration. The second one is description. Description is the type of essay that you need to describe a picture. So imagine here's a picture of Kaohsiung Girls Senior High School. You need to describe that picture so your readers can imagine that in their mind. The third one is exposition. Exposition is today's focus. Today I'm going to talk about exposition more. Exposition is the type of essay that you tell others a lot of information. You stay neutral. You're just telling facts. The fourth one, the last one, it is called argumentation. Simply, you make your own argument. You try to persuade others. You try to make others believe in you. Today, we will focus on the third type, exposition. Let me put it up here. Exposition. Why? Because I personally think there are several reasons for you to get used to this type of essay. The first one and the most important is that as long as you're familiar, you learn, you understand this type of essay, or all kinds of essay, especially the structure, it helps you read. It helps you read the article. You read the article more effectively, so that you're not just randomly skim or scan through the text. It helps you more effectively. The second one, for reality, we have to face the music because we all have to take the test. We all have to take 学测 and 指考. For 学测, although probably the English essay is whether it's either description or narration. However, in 指考, exposition do occur. You have to tell others your thoughts, what kind of information you like to tell others. So this type of essay do occur in 指考. That is why it is important. The face the music part. So today we will focus on this one, and let me give you a few examples about exposition in 指考. For example, in 2017, that is this year, the type of essay that 指考would like you to compose, would like you to write is exposition. And also last year, 2016, and 2000, come on in, take a seat. Yeah, it's important to grab your lunch. Okay, so For example, this year, last year, 2013, 2012. So it means that this type of essay occurs frequently in Zikao. So in case you need to learn this one, this is why today I'm here. Right. So now, before we really go into Unit 9, because Unit 9 is a sample of exposition. Oh, by the way, exposition in Chinese, we call it 说明文. So before we really go into Unit 9, first of all, I would like to pass down one handout. This handout teaches you what exposition really is. So let's go through this handout together. And as usual, Sulin, can you help me? And don't forget that group.
Oh,
Okay. Here you go. 2, 4, 6. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. If you need extra copies, just raise your hand. Yes. One more. Four. How many? Four. Here. Right. Look at page 1. Exposition, or we can also call it expository essay. They're basically the same type of essay, just different names. So first of all, let's look at the definition of this type of essay. In expository essays, the writer defines or explains a topic using facts, statistics, and samples. Because this type of essay, pay attention to the wording here, is based on facts but not personal feelings. Writers do not reveal their emotions or write in the first person. So what it means is that the tone of the writer is neutral. You're not positive, you're not negative, you stay neutral, you're just telling the facts. Also, you do not write in first person. Anyone would like to tell me what is first person? You're looking at me. Peggy, would you like to tell me? Alright? Yes, 第一人称. So in English, for example, I had a bad day yesterday. I had lunch already. Using I, it is first person. So we do not use first person. Now, in exposition, especially the body paragraph, probably paragraph 2, 3, or 5. In the body paragraph, first of all, we need to tell the readers, we need to tell our readers the fact. We use one sentence, one topic sentence to tell the fact. Then we provide definition or explanation. We use probably 2 or 3 sentences to define, to explain the fact. Then, even if we have fact, we have definition, somehow it is still vague. It is still vague. So, we need to provide several examples to support this one and support this one. So our readers will have a clear picture in your mind. Oh, I know what she is talking about. Okay? Now, look at section 2. In section 2, there are 6 sentences. This is a short paragraph of exposition. I would like you to rearrange to find out the correct order. Find out which one is the first sentence, which one is the fact. which sentences are definition and which sentences are examples. Because I think this is maybe a little bit difficult for you. So let me help you with the first one and the last one. The first one, it should be C. I mean the first sentence, it should be C. By and large, or we can say generally speaking, in general, the positive friends are the most beneficial to us. It tells the fact that positive friends are beneficial to us. However, in what way? In what way is it beneficial? Can you explain it more to me? Then, so you need to find out 2 sentences that define what positive friends are. Then, find out what are the examples. What are the examples that support the definition? And finally, the last sentence should be F. Why? Because let's read F together. A friend in need is a friend indeed. This is a short conclusion of this paragraph. And this sentence, the last sentence, not only concludes paragraph 2, but also connects to paragraph 3, so that your whole essay, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, your whole essay is consistent. Alright? Yes? Okay, I can see some of you nodding your head. So now your work is to find out the 4 sentences here. Which 2 are definition? Which 2 are examples? Find them and rearrange the correct order. Now you have I think this is a little bit easy. So you have 1 minute to finish, to rearrange. And if you have difficulty, talk to your group members. You can work together. Now you have 1 minute, go. I'm counting the time. If I mean 1 minute, I really mean it, okay? I really mean it. You have 10 seconds left. Right. Okay. Look at me. Look at me. Any volunteer? Anyone who would like to tell me what is the correct order of this paragraph? Who will be the brave one? If no, oh, okay. Great. Yes. So please tell everyone. Okay. You ready? B, A, D, you mean Drew, right? B, okay. B, F. Let me check. C, E, B, A, D, F. That is correct. Yeah, congratulations. Okay, great. Now, with the help of this exercise, we have a brief idea of what exposition is. Now, we're ready to go into Unit 9. So please take out your textbook and turn to page 65. 65. Yes, 65. This unit, the title of this unit is called, oh sorry, not 65. It should be 175. My mistake, my apology. 175. This unit is called The Wonderful World of Hayao Miyazaki. Hayao Miyazaki, or we can just call it Miyazaki, is a Japanese animator, a a really famous Japanese animator. He has a lot of famous animations, a lot of famous movies. For example, My Neighbor Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro, 龙猫, or Spirited Away. How do you say that? Okay, so I always forget that one. And Princess Mononoke, 魔法公主. Now, who can tell me who is Miyazaki in Chinese? 宫崎骏. Have you ever seen his movies before? Yes. Okay, so that means we do not have generation gap. Right? I also watched his movies before. We're talking about Hayao Miyazaki. Now, I will play the audio. So, if you think you want to practice your listening, you can close your book and listen to the audio only. If you think you need some help, you can read the article and listen at the same time. When you listen, here for the three elements. Sorry. The three elements. These three elements are what make Miyazaki's films wonderful, and that is why this unit it is called the wonderful world of Miyazaki. The three elements, they all occur, they all show up in all Miyazaki's films. Listen and figure out what are they. Okay, so now I'm going to play the audio.
Unit 9, The Wonderful World of Hayao Miyazaki. Reading.
Many people have heard of Hayao Miyazaki, a gifted Japanese animator, and his internationally acclaimed films. His films, such as My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle, have captured the interest of people of all ages around the world. However, when it comes to the elements found in his films, most people probably don't know that many of these elements actually date back to Miyazaki's childhood. One distinctive characteristic of Miyazaki's films is the presence of strong female characters. Take Chihiro, the 10-year-old main character in Spirited Away, for example. Separated from her parents and forced to face numerous monsters and witches, she must share her love so that she can overcome several obstacles and save her parents. Chihiro's adventure transforms her from a spoiled, whiny child into a responsible, capable girl, and the whole process is similar to the maturation that occurred in Miyazaki's life. When Miyazaki was about 6, his mother contracted tuberculosis. Her treatment continued during his teenage years, and this meant that Miyazaki had to care for his 2 younger brothers. As a result, Miyazaki drew pictures and made up stories to entertain them. Gradually, he developed keen drawing skills, a fertile imagination, and the ability to convey stories through images. But for his unusual childhood circumstances, Miyazaki might never have gone on creating so many entrancing animated films. Another early influence on Miyazaki was the work of his father and uncle in the aviation industry. When he was a child, Miyazaki spent hours drawing planes. This led to his lifelong interest in flying. After he started to create his own works, flying naturally became a recurring theme. Miyazaki's various flying vehicles include a witch's broom, massive military vessels, and so on, often with emphasis on designs that were never, or could never be, possible in real life. Without his early exposure to aviation, Miyazaki would not have been so inspired by flying. Miyazaki's films stand out also because his characters reflect reality. The characters of Miyazaki's films, unlike those of most typical Hollywood animated films, are neither completely righteous nor completely wicked, which is very true to life, and makes his films one of a kind. As the story unfolds, villains reveal certain positive traits, as well as their violence, evil, and hatred. Good and bad fuse together, and the tension between them gives richness and complexity to Miyazaki's stories. These stories illustrate that there are always positive things worth living for, joy to be found, a peaceful resolution to be attempted, and love to be embraced. With these unique characteristics, Miyazaki's films have not only achieved commercial success in Japan, but also won praise from moviegoers and critics alike around the world. At the ceremony for the 2002 Academy Awards, the award for Best Animated Feature went to Spirited Away, the first Japanese animated film ever to win an Oscar. Renowned as an imaginative animator, Miyazaki has remained true to his own ideals and beliefs, which are expressed in each of his extraordinary productions. Without a doubt, he will keep on leaving audiences in awe with the wonderful worlds he creates in his works.
Right. Is it working? Great. Now, you have 1.5 minutes to go through the reading, to skim through the reading, and see if there's any part you missed when you're listening to the audio. If you find there are some words too difficult for you, you can take out your vocabulary book, the green book, and you can check if you really need it. Okay, so now you have 1.5 minutes to skim through the reading and see if there's any part you missed. Oh, by the way, can we close the curtain so that you can see the slides clear? Yeah. Okay, great. Seconds left. Right. Now I will divide the reading into 3 parts. The body paragraph of this reading. So that is paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I will divide it into 3 parts. Each group, you need to work one certain paragraph and find out what is the facts, what are the definitions, and what are the examples provided by the reader. However, you probably will figure out that perhaps in this paragraph there isn't a lot of explanations, or there aren't many examples. If you cannot, oh, by the way, turn to the second page. This graphic organizer. So what I mean is that when you're working on your own paragraph, find out the facts and put it in the circle. Find out the definitions or explanations. If you probably cannot find it, you can just put a question mark here. Then find out the writer's example. Even better, you can provide your own examples to support the fact and the definition. So now I will allocate the paragraphs. Because paragraph 2 and 3 are a little bit hard, so I can help you. I will be responsible for this one. So for 4 and 5, you're 4, 5, 4, 5. You're 4. Yes, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. Okay. Before we go into, wait, 1 more minute. Before you begin your discussion, let's look at the circle together. This is called thesis. A thesis or thesis statement. You can look at your worksheet here. I already put it up here. A thesis is the main idea, the core concept the writer wants to tell readers. So from paragraph 1, we can see that the writer wants to tell others that many of these elements, many of the three elements actually date back to Miyazaki's childhood. Date back to means goes back to the past. So these elements date back to his childhood. So this is the thesis of this article, the elements. This is the last sentence of paragraph 1. Dates back to his childhood. Based on this thesis, the writer develops paragraph 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now it is your work to figure out the facts, definition, and examples. I think you have 4 minutes, you have 4 minutes to work with your partners and find out the answers. Alright, you have 1 more minute. Right, I need 2 volunteers. For those who are looking for paragraph 4, I need 1 volunteer to put down your answers here. Then for paragraph 5, I also need 1 volunteer and put up your answers here. So paragraph 4, who is the brave soul? Okay, Yusao, come on. You're 4, right? How about paragraph 5? Come on, Chen. Yeah, I almost call you Chen. So they will write down the key words. If the sentence is short, they will put down the short sentence. Oh, also, I put down 2 questions here. The first one, what are the 3 elements that make Miyazaki's films wonderful, or we can say unique, different from others? The 3 elements in this essay, in this reading, is actually the facts. So, I mean the circle, the 3 facts, the elements. Then, what are some examples of the 3 elements? What are the examples that support the fact, so that the fact is not too vague? 就是那个事实，就是他讲陈述那个事实才不会太抽象。They're not too vague. For other groups, you can see whether their answers are the same as yours. organizer. Let's go through this graph together. First of all, the core idea, the thesis of this article is the three elements, they actually date back to his childhood. They actually originate from his childhood, goes back to his childhood. And the first one, let's look at paragraph 2 together. Read. read your textbook. Paragraph 2. One distinctive characteristic of Miyazaki's films is the presence of strong female characters. This is the first sentence. It tells us that the first element in his films is strong female characters. However, it is a little bit difficult to find out the definition, the explanation of strong female characters. I think there probably just a little bit explanation. You can see from page 177, line 2. 177. Chihiro's adventure transforms, changes her from a spoiled, whiny. Whiny means someone who complains a lot. So if you complain a lot, I can say, oh, you're so whiny. So changes her from a spoiled, whining child to a reasonable, capable girl. Probably here explains what strong female characters means. So capable, responsible girl. However, the writer does not really tell us why this element dates back to his childhood in this paragraph. So what I mean is that if you just simply read through paragraph 2, you cannot find out why it dates back to his childhood. However, in paragraph 3, the writer spends the whole paragraph describing why strong female characters occur. Because the whole process is similar to the maturation that occurred in Miyazaki's life. So we know that probably in Miyazaki's childhood, when he was little, he was childish, he was immature. However, because his mother was ill, it somehow forced him to become a responsible, capable boy. And that experience stimulates him, influences him so that he can create strong female characters in his films. So this is paragraph 2 and 3. And for the writer's example, it is Chihiro. Anyone who can tell me what is your own example here? Can you think of your own example that does not occur in the text? Yujie, would you like to tell me? Yes, 等一下 one moment. Sophie, how about you? Okay, Sophie, and can you think of any other examples? Or you also think of Sophie? The same, okay. Sophie is the character from Howl's Moving Castle, 霍尔的移动城堡. So she's the main character. And she also represents strong female characters. So you can think of Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. Moving on to paragraph 4. The second element. Here, Yu Sao, she writes flying. And where can we find this in paragraph 4? You can look at the first sentence, page 177, the first sentence. Another early influence on Miyazaki was the work of his father and uncle in the aviation industry. Aviation means industry that relates to flying, to airplanes, to making airplanes, to repair airplanes. So in Chinese, we say 航空业, aviation industry. When he was little, Miyazaki spent hours drawing planes. From these two sentences, we know that flying is the second element in his films. And why does flying occur? Because when he was a child, you can look at this sentence. When he was a child, Miyazaki spent hours drawing planes. This fact led to his lifelong interest in flying. Turn to page 178. After he started to create his own works, flying naturally became a recurring theme. Recurring means happening again and again. So a recurring theme means a theme occurs again and again. It occurs constantly. from the sentences here, it explains why flying occur as an element in his films. Then Yu Xiao's group wrote that the witch's broom is the example provided by the writer. So let's look at line 2 in 178. Miyazaki's various flying vehicles include a witch's broom. I think a witch's broom, this comes from the movie, what is that movie? Yes, 魔女宅急便. Yeah, from that movie. And massive military vessels. Massive means big and heavy. Military means connected to soldiers or army, armed force. It is military. Vessels means large ship or large boat. So massive military vessels means very heavy, very large ship, and it has something to do with armed force. In Chinese, we say 军舰. So maybe we can also write massive military vessels, and I think this comes from the movie, maybe 红猪. Do you know 红猪? And in Howl's Moving Castle, it also occurs in Howl's Moving Castle because that movie is talking about war. 他在讲战争嘛, so it occurs in that movie. And their own example is Haku. Haku Bailong. Yes, it is true. Haku. In the movie Spirited Away, Haku indeed he flew in the air. That is true. And I can also think of the castle from Howl's Moving Castle. At the end of the movie, the castle is also flying in the air, right? Okay. So moving on to the 5th paragraph. The 3rd element. Tianxu's group, they think it is my apologies, Tianxu's group, they think reflect reality. Miyazaki's films somehow reflect reality. Why or how? In what way? Yes, I agree with them. This paragraph does not really explain why reality, this element, actually dates back to his childhood. Yes, I agree with their group. But although the writer does not explain why this element dates back to his childhood, the writer defines what reflect reality means. So look at sentence 2 in this paragraph. The characters of Miyazaki's films, unlike those of most typical Hollywood animation films, are neither completely righteous. Righteous means morally right, nor completely wicked, morally wrong, which is very true to life and makes his films one of a kind, and makes his films unique, makes his film different from others. So the writer indeed, maybe he or she, the writer indeed explains what reflect reality means. However, the writer does not explain why it dates back to his childhood. So let's move on to the examples. Villains. So you can see line 5. As a story unfolds, as the story goes on, as the story moves on, villains reveal certain positive traits. Villains means bad characters, bad guys. Reveal certain positive traits, as well as their violence, evil, and hatred. From this sentence, we know that a character in his film, in Miyazaki's film, he can be positive, he can also be negative, and it is just like all of us. Sometimes we can be positive to our life, sometimes we can be negative to our lives. This is just like reality. Right, and their own example, Tang Po. Tang Po is the bad guy from Spirited Away. At the beginning of the movie, she was very mean to Tianxu, right? She forces her to work for her. However, at the end of the movie, Tang 婆婆, she lets Tianxun go back to the real world. At the end of the movie, she turns out to be a good person. So this also reflects reality. She can be evil, but she can also be good to someone. Right. Now, for the last paragraph, in expository essays, first we have the introduction. The first paragraph, it tells us the thesis. Oh, let me put it here. The first paragraph, it tells us the thesis. The body paragraph, perhaps the third, the second, the third, and the fourth. It tells us, the fourth is like this. The fourth, it tells us fact, definition, and examples. The last paragraph, it concludes. It summarizes the main idea, the whole idea of this essay. So this is a summary. So let's look at the last paragraph. 179. With these unique characteristics, Miyazaki's films have not only achieved commercial success in Japan, but also won praise from moviegoers and critics alike around the world. Because of these unique characteristics, it influences Miyazaki's life a lot. And how does that influence Miyazaki? He won a lot of praise from moviegoers and critics alike. So we can see, because of the three elements, Miyazaki is really successful. He succeeds around the world. He is successful. So when you write your own expository essay in the future, first of all, you can use this structure. You can use this structure to organize your thoughts. Then, using this one with your thoughts in it, you can compose an essay that is organized, well organized. So your readers, when they read, they have a clear idea. Oh, I know what she is talking about in this paragraph. I know what she is talking about in this paragraph. Okay? Now for your practice, I will pass down this handout. Oh, and here. This is from106考, so it's this year. This is the essay this year. 每个人从小到大都有觉得寂寞的时候，也都各自有排解寂寞的经验和方法，可以陪伴你，为你排解。有什么人事物可以陪伴你，为你排解寂寞？好，重点来了 ，Pay attention to the second part. You need to explain. Under what circumstances will you feel lonely? And you need to provide examples to explain what kind of things, what person accompanies you when you feel lonely. So what I mean is that after I pass down this worksheet, you can use this worksheet. This is the expository worksheet structure. You can use this worksheet to organize your thoughts. What are the facts you would like to convey? What are the definitions? And most importantly, what are the examples you can support your fact? Use this structure and practice writing this essay. Okay? So one last announcement. Today we're focusing on the essay, the structure of English essays. But for your concern, do not worry. In the following class, we will move on to the vocabulary, to the words, the reading, and the sentence patterns in detail. So today, our main idea is about essay structure. Okay? So now I will pass down the worksheet and class dismissed. Thank you. Your turn. Thank you.